confidence. Ultra comfort for that time of the month. Curves ultra thin with wings, Curves regular maxi with wings, and Curves overnight maxi with wings. Super absorbent, best quality and value for money. Every girl loves Curves.
Agent and distributor. Better Brands Distributors.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the management and staff at Frank B. Armstrong St. Vincent Limited and Better Brands Distribution.
Hello everybody, it's Christmas in the country.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so I think next time we need to sing over this song, but I need to learn the words. All right, so we are back. As Ari would have indicated, we will not be joined by Sion today. However, he will be in studio tomorrow. So we should look forward to that exchange between Ari, Crystal, and Sion in studio for that session. Right? Before we get into it, we have a message here from Joshua. Joshua says, good morning to both of us. Today is Jackie Calich of Scotland's birthday. She's an avid listener of WEFM, and in her words, WEFM and NBC are the only two stations she never has to ask, what the hell are they saying, right? So good morning to Jackie, and we're happy to have you listening to us every morning, or just about every morning. All right, so Ari, getting right into it?
Sure.
All right, so we are going to go on to the other topic of an interesting story that came across last week. I think it was published last week, or whatever the 3rd of December was, right? We're reading from Eyewitness News. And the headline says, more parental guidance, not higher age of consent needed, senior COP says, right? A senior police officer says that that increasing the age of consent will not, let's say that again. A senior police officer says that increasing the age of consent will make criminals of many of the nation's juveniles, adding that what is needed is more parental guidance. The age of consent in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is 15 years old, and some people have been calling for it to be increased to 18. the age of the majority. On Thursday, acting Assistant Commissioner of Police Trevor Bailey, who was in charge of the nation's crime fighting strategy, said on Hot 97 that many of the police investigations into missing teen girls leads to sexual offenses charges. Responding to a question, Bailey said that he would not like to see the age of consent increase, adding that if it is to be raised to 18, 17, or even 16-year-olds, this would lead to criminalization of many of the nation's youth. Quoting, because a lot of sex takes place before the age of 18, Bailey said, a lot of our young people are engaged in sexual activity. To continue, if we are seeing 200 reports yearly at 15, if we carry it to 18, we will be seeing close to 400, and a lot of our young men will be arrested. So let's not run away from it. School children are engaging themselves in sexual activities pretty early. All right, so that's basically a summation of what he said. Let me just read this last paragraph. Because at primary school, okay, so Bailey, who has a teenage daughter, urged parents to have that conversation. Don't be afraid. Because at primary school, when you and I were small, we couldn't speak about sex. But nowadays at primary school, sex is being taught. So they are exposed to it pretty early. Sometimes if you don't receive the right guidance, they're going to engage in what they're being taught at school. So we have to be careful, Bailey said. All right, so I found the position of Assistant Commissioner of Police, ACP Bailey, to be interesting. I actually have been one of those persons who advocates for the age of consent to be raised to 18, simply because before 18, I think that, well, many persons would still be in school, right? Also because of the predatory nature that we've been seeing a lot of cases, in terms of a lot of cases of students or children running away from home. They've passed the age of consent, however, they're under the age of 18, and they are still considered minors because they are the responsibility of their parents. This 2-3 year gap leaves the law, or leaves the position of parents and the police. Their hands are a bit tied in this regard when it comes to, let's say, going for these students or going for these children and having them returned home. And not only that, in terms of penalizing or charging the predators, and I'm terming them as predators, who go after these young girls, they can't be charged because of the fact that the girls are over the age or are at the age of consent. So for me, that age of being an adult, having gotten your school life out of the way, more than likely, you still being under your parents' control because you're not 18, all of those things need to be aligned. So I was a little bit disheartened when I read that. While it is that, yes, many students may be engaging in sexual activity, the point of it is that it's not something that we would encourage, right? And for me, I'm not going to encourage it primarily because of the fact that they are still of school age, right? Their priorities really should be focusing on school, getting their qualifications, and leaving school. Sexual activity can take place anytime after that, when they feel that they are mature, they're responsible, when legally they are at the adult age to handle, well, I mean, handling adult responsibilities does take a bit of an emotional, what's the word I'm looking for here? Maturity as well, right? But in terms of being an adult, them taking on that responsibility, to me, needs to coincide with the same age as being considered an adult.
What age should they be taught sex education, HFLE, and these things?
No, I agree with it being taught in primary schools, but being taught and engaged in it is two different things for me.
Why are you learning about it in primary school?
Why shouldn't you learn about it? You need to learn about your bodies. Not everybody has the parents who are going to sit down and speak to them about sexual reproductivity. But being taught about something like you're taught about drugs and so forth. Would I engage in taking drugs? No.
Yeah, but drugs is something that people deter you from taking completely.
Mm-hmm.
Sex is not something that's deterred from taking completely. Even the Bible encourages sex, reproduction through sex. So that you can't compare it to drugs. If you teach a primary school child how to drive, he is going to try to drive sooner than later.
but legally he cannot go on to the roads. He'll be causing public harm.
But
right?
how many children are already learning how to drive before they get their license, before they legally can go onto the road?
Yeah, but learning to do something and actually doing it are two different things.
But you're preparing them for it.
But that's the thing. You are preparing them in terms of educating them on what sex is about. It's not about sex you have to engage in sex at the same time that you're taught about it. It can be delayed, and for me it should be a delayed activity.
It should be a delayed activity, but if you're learning about it from primary school, when you get to secondary school and your body starts developing and you're starting to feel these feelings, you're gonna think, okay, so I have the knowledge, I know exactly what I'm doing. And we need to keep in mind, a lot of people are angry about what Trevor Bailey said, but he is the officer in charge of the sexual offences unit. He sees his stats. The stats are right in front of him. He didn't just form an opinion out of thin air. He's looking at the stats and he came to this conclusion. Do I think the age should raise to 18 to stop predators? Sure. But then we need to also look at where the HIV/AIDS stats fall. 17 to 25. There it isn't 15 and 16. It's 17 to 25.
Yeah, no, but you finished? Yeah.
No, I ain't finished. But the other thing too, what I keep raising is I can see both sides of the argument, because while in fact there are a lot of older men, van drivers, even some walking men, even just men in the village, going after younger girls, and older women also going after younger boys. What about those with the 1 year age difference? And I will forever draw reference to Nicki Minaj's husband, who was 19. No, sorry, he was 18 at the time, I believe is the story, and the girl was 17, and he was charged for statutory rape. It is normal, especially in secondary school, for maybe a Form 5 student to date a Form 4 student, or a Form 4 student to date a Form 3 student, should they face the criminal charges for engaging in those activities. I think criminal charges is a huge step for something like that. And the reality is, a lot of teenagers are having sex, not just here in St. Vincent, all over the world. And it's you can see it. It's being promoted, I would say, in TV series. It's promoted on different forms of media. There's a TV show, I forget the name, I can't believe it's slipping right now, but there's a really popular TV show that sheds light on the fact that teenagers are doing drugs, having sex, all kind of things. And when you watch the show, you realize these teenagers are in full adult relationships doing all type of things. So is it that we come down with the full force of the law on the teenagers? And I think that is what he was trying to say, that if we are seeing 200 reports yearly at 15, if we carry it to 18, we'll be seeing close to 400. And a lot of our young men, would be arrested. So let us not run away from it. School children are engaging themselves in sexual activities pretty early. And I thought there were a lot of boys in Farm 3 who have condoms ready, who are already talking to girls, who are already trying to do certain things. It's a fact that we can't run away from. It's happening. So should they face the full force of the law? I keep forgetting the age of 15. What form is that? 4?
Say that again?
15 is Form 4?
4, 5, 3, depending. Yeah. So
let me say Form 5. A Form 5 student dating a Form 4 student, and the parents find out, police get involved. This Form 5, that is the end of his life for a consensual relationship. I mean, we don't have it in St. Vincent where you're forever branded as a sexual predator and it stop you from walking. But what about the court of public opinion? Persons love to point out people charge it, saying, oh, you know, the raper man boy who go whatever school, without getting the full facts of it. I think that's quite dangerous. And I do agree with him saying that he believes that more and more people would be charged under this, that not necessarily shouldn't be charged. I do agree that a lot of men are predatorial. It's a fact. We see it every day, especially with van drivers. We see it happening. And we see even some parents encourage the predators by offering their daughters because maybe the guy have money or the guy has status or whatever. But can we look at this argument as two-dimensional?
All right, so you brought up the issue of Nicki Minaj and a 1 year age difference. A 1 year age difference, regardless, to me, it is still statutory. And this is where the education needs to come into play. If a girl or a boy is under 18, what you're supposed to see right there is a walking red flag. I do not have any sort of interaction. I do not have any sort of intercourse with that particular, because he or she is still a child, right? Now, the thing of it is that, yes, there might be persons within school age who are involved with each other. The point of it is that while, yes, the reality of it is that this might be happening legally, we can put things in place to hopefully prevent such actions, or at least to let persons know that if you are found, if you engage in activity with a minor, when the person is under the age of 18, that you can be charged. All right, so it's one thing for us to be to speak in schools about sexual activity, because children need to know what is happening. They need to know how their bodies are going to change. They also need to know what it is that they should probably do whenever they get those particular urges. You don't necessarily have to engage in every particular urge that happens to you. But one of the reasons why persons have been advocating for the change of the law is to keep things in line with what the age of an adult is. All the adult responsibilities that take place come at the age of 18. So I'm all for the education, because children may not necessarily get it from their parents, but I'm not okay with us being okay with that 3-year age difference in terms of somebody being able to give consent and not being able to actually be called an adult within society. All right. So just a reminder that this is an interactive program. If you choose to lend your voice to this discussion, the number to call and WhatsApp number is 457-9997. All right. So Ari and I are a little bit on opposing views with regards to this particular topic. So we'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this.
Well, we're going to stick up in here and we'll come back at 8:05 where we'll discuss it more. The time is now 8 o'clock and your time check was brought to you by New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a fact of life. Even though death is a fact of life, that doesn't make it any easier. When dealing with the loss of a loved one, you may try to be strong, but it's really hard sometimes. But that's just when the experience of the staff at New Haven Funeral Home can demonstrate their compassion and help to guide your family through the difficult time. So in your time of loss, call the New Haven Funeral Home at 457-1830 or 458-1467 or email newhavenfuneralhome@gmail.com. New Haven Funeral Home, SVG's preferred funeral home.
Boy, I swear you getting crashed now. Your brakes real good, boy.
Now brakes alone good enough. My tires good too.
Tires? Where you get them tires, boy?
Out by Caribbean Tire Plus, man. They out in Ardersville. Can't miss it. Look for the orange container on them. Plenty parking space and open 7 days a week, all thing, man. Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call them today. Caribbean Tire Plus, 784-432-4786 or email.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
I will be shopping this Christmas 100% Vinci. CK Graves, CK Graves. We shopping at CK Graves, CK Graves, CK Graves. For the holidays. If you want to buy a ham for the holidays, check CK Graves. We have everything. If you want to bake a cake for the holidays, check CK Graves. Oh, lad. We have everything. We have sugar for the cake, flour for your bake, frozen and salt ham. And if you're drinking something strong, the friendly staffs are away. Check out the meat division, and the prices them not kill weaving tension. During the month of December, Secret Grace will be giving 90 lucky shoppers a chance to win $100 food vouchers. But that's not all. 3 lucky persons will also win food for a year. And don't miss our 5% store-wide discount starting December 5th. Terms and conditions apply.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! The race is on! Play Catch the Santa to win great prizes with Flow every day. Top up $15 or more, or activate a 3-day plan or higher for your chance to play and win.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
Time is now 8:04, and I'd like to remind everyone of the Searchlight Midweek headlines. The Searchlight Midweek is online. Go pick them up today. Well, find your way to the e-paper today. My bad. So the headlines on Searchlight this midweek, is new activities on the cards for National 9 Mornings Festival. Salvation Army Kettle Thief placed on bond. Mother in despair as 2 more killings bring homicide count to 52. Read the circumstances surrounding all 4 shooting incidents. Youth showing increased interest in HIV exposure drug as numbers increase. Son who stole $176,000 from his mother given a second chance. $5 more for public assistance recipients as payments switch to cards. Venezuela claims large support for annexing oil-rich Guyana territory. Prime the Pump discusses the perils of false perceptions. More sports and kitchen corner. Remember to check out our video stories on YouTube and download the free Searchlight app to access our e-paper and get breaking news updates. Searchlight, journalism you can trust. Check us out online at searchlight.vc.
3, 2, 1. WEFM is SVG.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
And we're back. This morning we're discussing the parental guidance versus raising the consent age and HIV/AIDS in ages 17 to 25. The number to call is 457-9997. It's very interactive. Also the number to WhatsApp is 457-9997. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. So we're currently discussing senior police Trevor Bailey's opinion that he shared during a radio interview last week, where he was saying that we need more parental guidance versus raising the age of consent. So he was saying that we need more parental guidance as opposed to raising the consent from 15 to 18. So Roleza, your opinion was that it should be raised. He is completely in the wrong for saying that. And I'm saying that I can see both sides of the argument. I have a comment here on WhatsApp that females are predators as well. They prey mainly on young girls. And that is very true. I know a lot of situations where older women... How do I word this properly? I know of situations where older women tend to be involved with younger girls. Sometimes secondary school, sometimes in college, sometimes as young adults. As young adults, it doesn't matter, right? But the argument is, should the consent age again be raised from 15 to 18?
That's my position. But I thought you were going to lead into the other topic of
I
the.
had something else to say.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the volume on what? I don't know if it's my headphones, but it's sounding a little loud. Sorry about that. So another thing I was trying to say is the show I was trying to remember is Euphoria. So there's Euphoria, there's Sex Education, and those other TV shows that clearly show that children or teenagers, children isn't the best word to use. Teenagers are
under 18.
15, they're not minors, they're already sexually active. And one of the shows, it depicts a teenager also who is the son of a, I want to say HFLE so it becomes more relatable, but HFLE teacher who is counseling his fellow classmates or fellow schoolmates who don't really understand sex, but they're getting involved sexually. At first, I was watching this show and I thought this show is a bit weird. But then I realized how realistic it is. And I remember Euphoria got a lot of pushback because persons were saying that it encourages drug use and it encourages sex with minors. But I feel like these shows reflect society today. There are a lot of children having sex at a very young age. I keep saying children. There are a lot of teenagers having sex at a very young age. And some persons in the comments, this story is on Eyewitness News. Some persons in the comments are saying that both are necessary. And I do agree. Parental guidance need to be at the forefront, and then the consent age should be argued. Because in a lot of the cases, we would see that most students having sex are coming from single parent homes or homes where they have only guardians, not necessarily parents. And again, we need to remember that parenting only takes you to a certain point. Socializing in these schools, socializing with your peers, also is the other remaining percentage that reflects how a child thinks. And a lot of children, a lot of teenagers are very influential by music, influential by the media, influential by their friends. So if they go in a case and if they go in a group of friends and all the friends are already having sex, they're going to feel like, okay, maybe I should be having sex as well. And it happens. So what do we do to curb this? I think that is the more important question, because raising the consent age should serve as a deterrent, but clearly we see in countries like America and England that it has not curbed it has not acted as a deterrent. Teenagers are still having sex. My argument throughout this is, what about a 1-year age difference between these teenagers? Should a teenager, whether it's male or female, should they lose their life completely in terms of getting arrested, facing criminal charges, maybe doing jail time, maybe being branded for life because of a 1-year age difference between them? And I'm talking from someone who grew up in secondary school, seeing people dating, knowing that people are having sex at secondary school level. I don't think that a Form 4, Form 5 student should face criminal charges for a consensual relationship. I think it's overkill. But the other thing that we need to discuss this morning is the HIV/AIDS rate here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and an alarming story came to the forefront. I believe it was this weekend, Sunday. And I'm reading from St. Vincent Times, where St. Vincent sees an increase in HIV cases among 17 to 25-year-olds. So it says St. Vincent is experiencing an increase in HIV diagnosis among individuals aged 17 to 25, with an annual average of 35 new cases being reported in the country. During a national broadcast on December 4th, with coincide with World AIDS Day, Dr. Jose. It's Jose. Davy, a specialist in infectious disease. I think she's actually the best person, as it relates to infectious disease here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, she disclosed this information. In 2022, SVG reported a total of 54 cases of HIV according to Davy. Nevertheless, it exhibits an average of approximately 35 instances annually. She said, we are seeing a lot of young people coming forward and testing positive, and that's the age group of 17 to 25. People are forgetting that they have to know what they are doing. They are going to have sex, and they need to know the status of their partner. If they don't know the status of your partner, in that instance, you need to use a condom. And you know what I found very interesting? When there's pornography being circulated, a lot of the cases we see condoms absent.
Yeah, I'll wait until you finish that and I'll add some
a lot of the cases we see condoms absent, and we females always have they hear a lot of excuses from men. Oh, it is too small. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm allergic. But if it is that you mean that you're going through sex, do your research. Even if you're allergic, there are a lot of different types of condom. There are a lot of different things that you can do. There's female condoms. I could understand that not a lot of young people are what's the word I would like to use? They don't have it financially, because these tests are quite expensive if you do it privately. I think it's free at the hospital, but there's also the confidentiality issue. Persons feel like if they go to the hospital to take tests, whether it's a STI or confidential, and I could confidently say it won't, because a lot of persons, a lot of nurses tend to discuss this, and persons outside of the hospital tend to get wind of it, and it becomes the talk of the town. You know, this person have AIDS. You know, this person had this disease. But I think the important thing is, how can we prevent such things from happening? What's your opinion on this?
All right, so to go back, the thing of it is that all of these conversations need to happen together in unison, right? The conversation about sexual education in terms of the changes in your body, etc., that conversation needs to happen. If the age of consent changes, which again I'm advocating, that conversation also needs to be had while we're talking about sex with students. One of the things that I've realized is that when I was growing up, we heard a lot about AIDS, HIV, sex, etc., right? In terms of condom usage. And I'm not sure if it's because I came from that era I was born in the 80s. So there was the emergence of HIV, AIDS that happened at that time. So, worldwide, it was a big topic in terms of advocating for safe sex and using condoms, etc. What it is that I'm curious about is what as students, well, I know that students are being taught about sex education in school, but in terms of the media, what I've noticed is that there seems to have been a falling off in terms of sex education or sex promoted ads, etc. Maybe in Vinci, I can't quite say for other islands, but at least in Vinci, I'm not hearing of them as much as I would have before. And while it says that the article speaks of persons being 17 to 35, so yes, 17 to 35 might be the 17 to 25, sorry, might be the age. Of course, you're going to have persons who may fall below that, right? What it is that you're seeing a lot happening to is that teenagers, children who engage in sexual activity, it seems to me as if their biggest fear or their biggest concern, especially on the part of the female, is getting pregnant. But children need to realize that it's not just pregnancy that is going to affect your life. There are STDs, there are STIs that can also wreak havoc onto your body. Some of them may not be able to be cured as well. So what is it that students are being taught? What is there in the media that's there as a push? Now, I think last Friday was World AIDS Day, and me personally, I did not hear a lot of activity or discussion that happened in commemoration of that particular day. Is it that it has started to fall under the radar? Do students or children know? And maybe I shouldn't just say students and children, but do people know where it is that they can go to be tested? Do persons even say before engaging in sexual activity, let's go and get tested together so that at least you can see the results of your partner or your proposed sexual partner? You can see that information together. You can share that information together. Do persons ask, when was the last time that you went to get tested for STDs, STIs? Because the thing of it is that a lot of sex happens, a lot of sex takes place, but how much of it is sex that is taking place in a responsible way? And this is why, for me, when we speak about minors, they do not have that maturity, or many of them don't have that maturity, because yes, peer pressure does happen. But the thing of it is that, and I'm in agreement with SCP Bailey in the context of that, parents do need to speak to their children about sex education, because I grew up in a home where my mother mentioned it, but the thing of it is that in school, I was exposed to students who already were sexually involved, and they would go into detail about certain things. But did I ever feel pressured into having engaging in sexual activity at an early age? No. So I am in agreement with ACP Bailey, where it has to be, yes, what it is that you're taught from school. It also has to come down to you yourself as an individual, but it all has to go hand in hand for me at this stage.
So Joshua says we cannot keep moving the goalposts. If you on air schedule, I guess if you're on air schedule is 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. 6:01 a.m. is unacceptable. Someone says, I want to know how easy it is to raise the age of van driver, not the age of consent. This is about the teenage girls have to start in the homes of the parents. I don't know how to interpret that.
Go ahead, continue.
We have another one. Good morning, guys. I disagree with Roleza bigly. I don't think that it should be taught in school. That is a conversation parents should have with their kids. Do you think raising the age would change things? If they can't wait until they are 15, you think they'll wait until they're 18? I think they should put a law in place, 25 to 30 year minimum. Give these guys think before they act. 25 to 30 what? I don't understand
yeah.
that. Okay, we seem to think everything should be taught in school and police should take charge of everything. That is also true.
Wait, before you close it out, let me just comment on something there. To the person who sent this message, there's a reason why it needs to be taught in school, right? Because not many parents either don't want to sit down and speak to their children about sex education because it makes them uncomfortable, or two, they don't know how to put across that information, right? So I think that the school system, parents can do it as well as the school system, because not everybody's parent is going to tell them about the correct ways to approach the changes in your body and sexual and healthy sexual practices. So it needs to be taught in schools.
But do you think raising the age would change things?
It may not necessarily overwhelmingly change things, but I like to know that the laws are put in place. And remember, people, the reason why it is that many of us have been advocating for it to be changed is because of that gray area when a girl or when people reach the age of consent, right? There are many persons, they reach let me take the call and not finished. Hi, Joshua. Good morning.
Okay,
all right. Remember, one of the reasons to why we're advocating for it is because there are many instances when young girls decide to not return home. They're being harbored by older men who are seemingly taking advantage of them, because regardless of whether she is 15 or what, yes, I know that consent is being given, but still, I don't know how many of these young girls actually have the maturity to know what it is they're getting involved with, right? So you have parents, you have mothers out there who are trying their best with their daughters, trying to keep them on the straight and the narrow. But some of these girls are hell-bent on going down the wrong road, right? When they do, they go and they seek the quote-unquote comfort of the arms of somebody who's older, who might just be a predator. The point of it is, parents cannot do anything about the situation. Police cannot do anything about the situation because they're over the age of consent, but yet their mothers, their parents are still responsible for them because they are, in the eyes of the law, they are a minor.
I think that's the problem also. If they're still minors in the eyes of the law, why is the consent below that age? But yes, as Anne said, peer pressure can play a part because Roleza, you're in the minority. You are in the minority in saying that you go to school, you get the education, persons having sex around you, and you want influence to have sex. You're in the minority. A lot of times when people are having these conversations, teenagers having these conversations of what happened, what they did, etc. They usually influenced. Good morning, caller, you're live. You keep dropping the calls this morning, so boy.
Yeah, the thing of it, Ari, I might be in the minority, but well, I don't know if I'm in the minority, baby. The minority is the more vocal ones. I don't know. But something has to be done. And when we have to look at this age where you see the highest number of HIV cases, it shows that they're also not practicing safe sex, right? Now, these are persons who have come forward to be tested. What about those who haven't even bothered? There are also instances, I think there was another article where Dr. Davy mentioned that when persons do come, it's already too late, because the thing of it is that you can live a long life with HIV once you take the correct medication. But if you probably know to yourself that you're sick, right? Number one, you know to yourself that you're sick, or there's a possibility that you're sick. You don't want to get tested because you don't want to know the truth. But you continue to live the lifestyle of somebody who is HIV negative. What happens in that particular instances? Then we just keep having this spread and spread and spread of the disease. Do young persons, do people, and I just throwing this on young people, do people even want to practice in safe sex? As you correctly said, Ari, when it comes to a lot of the porn videos that go around, we don't see anybody wearing condoms. And it bothers me so much to see that you are exposing yourself. Pregnancy is not the biggest thing. Pregnancy is a byproduct of sexual activity, but it's not the only thing that can happen, so all right. Hi, Joshua.
Sorry, Roleza. I listened to you quite carefully with interest when you mentioned being in support of sex education being taught in the schools. Now, how far would that go? Right now in the United States, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine. Mm-hmm.
Yes, right now in the United States, in schools, they're teaching kids, little kids under 10, how to masturbate and all of this type of stuff. All of that is a part of sex education. And in many of the schools and the bathrooms, there are machines to dispense condoms. Mm-hmm. Where do we draw the line? My thing is, teach your child at home. I am totally against sex education in schools because some predator could be the teacher. And he or she wants to give after school lessons. Where do we draw the line? We do not want to open up a door to chaos and confusion. This is my personal view.
All right. So, okay, I can say at that point, Joshua, in terms of where we draw the line, but you know what I think too? That part of the conversation needs to be had with parents. Let's say at a PTA meeting, you state, okay, so this is what we're looking to talk about, and have the input from the parents in terms of how far that discussion should go. And maybe because in the Caribbean, the way in which our curriculum is a little bit, it's still somewhat based on Christian guidelines in a sense. It's not as I don't want to use the word free, as liberal as within let's say in the US, etc. Right? But I think if we are going to have that particular discussion, it is being taught in schools. One of the other things too is that parents, whenever, and I mean, a parent who's invested in their child's education would go through their school books to see what is being taught, etc. And if they have an issue, then you raise it with the teacher and you raise it with the school. But what it is that I'm fearful of is the students who do not have parents who are involved in their lives in that sense. Persons who don't have any sort of discussion with them. What happens to those students or those children?
But Ari, sorry, you're not Ari, Rozila. Mm-hmm. Sex has always been a taboo thing. We still have people today talking about the thing or do it, referring to sex as it or the thing. We don't even want to talk about it in the homes. But it's a very difficult thing to to make a decision on, because you cannot make an omelet without cracking eggs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had one former president of the United States who said he smoked marijuana, but he did not inhale.
Mm-hmm.
He did not inhale. Sorry, I'm choking up. He did not inhale. And then the other thing too, we got babies having babies.
Right.
So where do we stand? We can't even trust some of the people in the pulpit, because you go to them for counseling and they end up in bed with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So each like it takes folks like you, like yourself, who could be I consider you as one who could be not a role model but a motivational speaker, because I have issues with this role model, with the term role model. You could be a motivational speaker. Ari, you in your own way, you know, I listen to you guys with interest. By the way, once Sion comes on tomorrow, I hope he tells us whether or not he found a bride. Somebody said he'd been out with Santa Claus looking for a bride.
Okay, I don't know about that. But you would have the opportunity to ask him tomorrow. So yeah.
I am gone. I'm out of here.
All right. Thanks, Joshua. Ari?
And says, my daughter is in high school here in the USA. I've been to meetings and never one have I heard masturbating taught in school. I don't know where Joshua got that from. I never heard about that either. I've never heard them encouraging masturbation in HFLE, but who knows? Maybe different states, different guidelines. I don't know. What I wanted to say before we end out this session is we also need to consider the fact that there are a lot of people here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines willfully spreading HIV. I know of one instance, and I always say this man here is a serial killer because he has killed a number of young ladies, and now he has a little bit of money, so he going around and girls still going to him. And I believe that he killing a lot of young women here, and that's one man that I know of. What about the women and what about the other men that are willfully spreading this disease? What is going to be put in place to punish them? Because they are murderers, in my opinion. If you're not negligent, if you do in fact know that you have HIV/AIDS, you're not taking treatment, and you're going and having sex with people. Even if you're taking treatment, your partner deserves to know what your status is. And I do think that they need to come down on these people. I do think that these teenagers, these 17 to 25, need to practice more safe sex, and they need to be able to have a safe space to go and get tested, because I do acknowledge that there's a serious confidentiality problem in our medical system here. Persons feel better going to private doctors because they can't feel comfortable going to the hospital, and I'm saying it without water in my mouth because I know of different situations where persons go to the hospital and it doesn't even have to be related to STIs, STDs. It could be different things, whatever they go to the hospital for. Other persons are talking about it. How did they get this information? How do they know who have AIDS and who don't have AIDS? How do they know who have cancer and who don't have cancer? How do they know what is on people's medical records? How do people in the public know this? It's something that we need to clamp down on so that the young people could then feel safe going and getting tested for free, because some of them may not be able to afford these blood tests at the laboratories.
All right. So just to sum up with what Ari is saying there, remember that your sexual health, or your health, I'm not just saying sexual health, your health is your responsibility. Whether you find yourself at the age of 16, 18, older, man or woman, the point of it is that if it is the onus is on you to make sure that you are safe, right? You have to have that conversation with your partner. You can't be shy. How is it that you're shy about having the conversation with your partner, but you're okay with engaging in sexual activity, right? For you to get to that point of engaging in sexual activity, it should mean that you're comfortable enough with that person, right? So you have to look at it as thinking about you being responsible for your own health, whether it's having that conversation, whether it's going to get tested together, practicing safe sex. As I said before, the outcome of sexual activity isn't only about getting pregnant. And, like one of the things too, when we see so many, well, maybe I shouldn't say so many young girls, but seeing young girls pregnant, then you realize they haven't been practicing safe sex, you know. So again, that responsibility lies solely with you. And just as to say it again, I am of the opinion that the HIV/AIDS campaign needs to be stepped up. I heard about it a lot when I was growing up. I'm not sure what the 2000s generation, what is that they're hearing and where it is they're getting their education from. So Ministry of Health or the powers that be, I think that it needs to be stepped up.
Before we go to ad break, I'm going to respond to these two things. First of all, Joshua Ann said, because I noticed that you're saying Ari a lot. Ann said, my daughter is in the US, is in high school here in the USA. I've been to meetings and never one day have I heard masturbation taught in school. I, in return, said, I've never heard about masturbation being encouraged in HFLE. Let me clarify that one more time. Again, so someone says, good morning, Ari. If you know someone who has AIDS and spreading it, you should report it to the authorities. If you don't, then you are part of the crime. No, I'm not part of the crime. I'm from Kittles, and a lot of people in Kittles know exactly who the person is. And this was from before my time. So I would like to believe he has been reported. A lot of people know exactly who the guy is. So it's not that it's a secret and that only I know. And I'm talking about it now. It's something that everyone in the community know, meaning that the police know as well. So I don't think that I share the responsibility of reporting this person. It is something commonly known in the community. But
right.
Hey, that's my opinion.
All right. So maybe what I would need to confirm or to get some clarification on is if there are laws in place in Vinci, because I know that it exists in these states, if there are laws in Vinci of somebody who willfully spreads HIV/AIDS, is it a criminal offense in our law book? So maybe we can find that out for maybe tomorrow. All right?
Should be. But we'll break here and we'll be back in a bit.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines.